About 13 years ago, I worked at a Walmart in one of the few stores left that closed overnight. It was a regular Walmart, not a supercenter. I worked the overnight shift, stocking shelves. I liked it because I only had to deal with customers for a couple of hours before the store closed, and then I could focus on stocking the shelves, mainly in the automotive department. The nights went by quickly. The team I worked with included a bunch of people who were all related to each other. There was the dad, let's call him John, his wife's sister, and his stepdaughter, who worked during the day in the jewelry department. John stocked the sporting goods department, which was right next to mine. This guy was something else. He would constantly come over to my section and ask if I needed help lifting things onto the overstocked shelves. He would make comments about how pretty I was and how if he were 10 years younger, he'd date me. John was pushing 50, and I was just a 19-year-old girl. I would laugh off his comments, tell him I didn't need help, and that I was perfectly happy with my boyfriend. Thank you very much. John's behavior escalated over time. One night, he decided to share a particularly inappropriate story with me. He claimed that one day, he was getting out of the shower, and his stepdaughter, who was 17, accidentally saw him. According to him, she exclaimed about how impressive he was and expressed a desire to try it out. I was dumbfounded and didn't know what to say. I just mumbled something about needing to get back to work and shuffled away. John's constant inappropriate comments and behavior made my work environment uncomfortable. I tried my best to avoid him, but it wasn't always possible since our departments were next to each other. I confided in a few of my colleagues about John's behavior, and they shared similar experiences with him. It seemed like everyone knew about his antics, but nothing was done to address it. A week later, the situation reached a breaking point. John was caught in a compromising situation with his wife's sister in the bathroom at work. They were both fired on the spot. The news spread quickly through the store, and everyone was talking about it. John's wife quit in embarrassment, but his stepdaughter continued to work there. The whole incident was the talk of the store for weeks. With John gone, the atmosphere at work improved significantly. Everyone seemed more relaxed, and we could finally focus on our jobs without the constant distractions and discomfort caused by his behavior. The nights went back to being a time when I could enjoy my work, stocking shelves in the automotive department, and occasionally helping out in other sections. Reflecting on that experience, it taught me the importance of speaking up about inappropriate behavior in the workplace. While I didn't feel comfortable reporting John at the time, I realized later that addressing such issues head-on is crucial for maintaining a healthy and respectful work environment. I've carried that lesson with me throughout my career, ensuring that I never hesitate to stand up for myself and others. Since my time at Walmart, I've moved on to other jobs, but that experience has stayed with me. It serves as a reminder of the challenges that can arise in any workplace and the importance of fostering a culture of respect and professionalism. I've also become more aware of the dynamics between colleagues and the impact that one individual's behavior can have on the entire team. Overall, my time at Walmart was a valuable learning experience. It had its ups and downs, but it ultimately shaped me into a stronger and more resilient person. I've taken those lessons with me in every job I've had since, always striving to create a positive and supportive work environment for myself and my colleagues. During the pandemic, I was 17 at the time, freshly graduated, and wanted to start working since going to college wasn't an option. Searching for a job was hard enough, but with my luck, I found a job at good old Wally World. I was excited because I had never had an actual job before, so I looked forward to working there. Working there is its own horror story, but I digress. Now, fast forward to the actual point of this story. I was working in the beauty supply area, which is far from the main cash registers and front desk. I was a cashier, by the way. I was at my register minding my own business, doodling on a piece of paper since there was really no one in the beauty area. Most people like to check out in that area if they have a few items, so it wasn't unusual for this man, probably in his late 50s or early 60s, to come up to my register and want to pay for his item. I said sure and rang up his item, telling him how much he owed me. With a creepy grin, he looked me up and down and said, "You're too beautiful to be working here. What is your name?" Creeped out, I just said my nickname, Alice. Not my real name, as I don't want to give out my real name. He smiled again and decided he wanted to talk more. Luckily, another customer walked through, and he decided to finally pay his total, but before he walked away, he asked me to write down my name. Hesitantly, I wrote down my full name. Stupid, I know, but I was 17 and terrified because I didn't know what to do. He then read it, Alicia, fake name. What a beautiful name for a beautiful girl. Then he grinned from ear to ear with this creepy smile and walked away. I got major chills and hoped that he wouldn't come back, but of course, I wouldn't be writing this if he didn't. Fast forward to a couple of weeks later. I was working the main registers, and I spotted the creepy old man walking down at the end of the registers. It looked like he was trying to search for me. He spotted me, and I thought, oh crap, not again. He came up to my register with only a few items yet again and said, "Why isn't it my favorite girl?" I just chuckled and rang up his items, telling him what he owed me. He then asked, "Hey Alicia, what is your last name? I bet a pretty girl like you has a pretty last name." I just froze. "I don't feel comfortable telling you that, sir." "Oh, come on, we're like good pals, don't you think?" "Sir, I would appreciate it if you paid right now. There's a line forming behind you," which, thank the Lord, there was. He begrudgingly paid, but when he gave me his cash, he brushed my fingers in a way that made me jerk back in disgust. I quickly gave him his change, praying he would just leave. But before he left, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "I'll be back next time so that I can spend time with my beautiful friend," and then walked out of the store. The last interaction I had with this man was more or less the same scenario, but this time he brought alcohol to my register. He gave me a big grin, and right when he was about to ask me a question, my manager came up to the register to check him out. Obviously, a minor couldn't sell alcohol. Then it was like he wasn't a creepy old man, but just a regular one talking about the weather and recent events happening around town. Mind you, my manager was a 30-year-old man who was around 6 feet tall, so he was pretty intimidating. But for some reason, after that transaction, I never saw that old man again. A couple of weeks later, I was talking about this incident with my coworker, and she said the same thing happened to her too with the same old man, only with her. He followed her around the store. She told me that everywhere she went, he was around the corner. I don't know what happened to that old man, as I got fired from the job months later, which is another story in itself. During those months, I never saw him, not even once, but I hope I never ever see him again. The months that followed brought a mix of relief and vigilance. Every time I walked down those aisles, a part of me was on high alert, scanning for any signs of him, while my co-workers were supportive, sharing their own eerie encounters with him. The experience left an indelible mark on my psyche. I realized the importance of speaking out and leaning on colleagues when faced with such unsettling situations. Once I left Walmart, the fear gradually subsided, but the lesson stayed with me. My next job came with a heightened sense of awareness and boundaries. I learned to trust my instincts and became more assertive about my comfort and safety. The experience, as harrowing as it was, molded me into a stronger, more self-assured individual who prioritizes their well-being.